We can't tell who's acting and who's not.
It's 6:30. I'll call the meeting to order for Tuesday, December 22nd. Welcome everybody here in the chamber and those viewing at home. First item on our agenda is consideration of the minutes of the meeting from our regularly scheduled December 10th meeting. If there are no comments or corrections on that, we'll consider them passed as written. I see no objection. Minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is the financial statement. I'll call on Mr. Kim Rupp. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. This report is the financial summaries of the revenue and expenditure activities of the City of Hayes for the month ended November 30, 2015. Revenues in November totaled $1,712,643. That's a decrease of $33,190 compared to the same period as last year. Notable areas of increased revenue compared to November of 14. Park Improvement Fund revenues increased $12,000 due in large part to the matching funds received from the Hayes Baseball Association for the renovations to the Larks Park concession stand. And the Special Parks Fund received the final recoverable depreciation insurance funds in the amount of $4140 for the storm-damaged rental cart shed at the golf course, increasing the revenues in that fund as compared to last year. Notable areas of revenue decrease. As mentioned last month, the timing of the motor vehicle tax from the miscellaneous distribution from the county shows the levy funds down a combined $54,000 when comparing this to this time last year. Having said that, year-to-date motor vehicle tax is up $15,000 as compared to last year. The county is usually fairly conservative when estimating this at budget time. Expenditures in November totaled $1,375,319. That's a decrease of $25,623. Notable areas of increased expenditures. CVB printing expenditures were up about $11,000 from a year ago, simply due to the order for various brochures and related media. IT other contractuals rose $12,000 as a result of the budgeted renewal of the public safety software used in the police department. As a comparison, this renewal occurred in late October of last year. Expenditures are up for the Parks Improvement Fund by $12,800. This is due to the work being done on the shelter houses at the dog park, which is being covered by donated funds, and for the beginning of the repair that Jeff had mentioned last week to the cart shed destroyed by a fire, which is being covered by insurance less our deductible. Notable areas of decreased expenditure. Health insurance expenditures fell $26,000 this month compared to 2014. You may have noticed in the report that this line year-to-date was over budget. However, as of December, it will be at budgeted, as the retirees' COBRA premiums reimbursement will have posted. Library and library employee benefit expenditures dropped $50,215 as compared to last year, simply in relation to the note mentioned above on the miscellaneous distribution from the county and ad valorem and motor vehicle taxes. The library received their final budget allocation at this time last year. New equipment for the Public Works Service Division was off $8,100 due to the purchase of medium-duty truck snow plows this time last year. And wastewater treatment equipment expense fell due to the purchase of a replacement exchange cartridge for the inline macerator in the amount of $8,600 last year at this time. Month-to-date, general fund sales tax collections were at $591,684. That's a decrease of $60,756 as compared to last year. That is the third consecutive month drop, totaling $111,549. Year-to-date general fund collections are at $6,810,728, up $33,000 or 0.49%. The report of quarter-to-date sales tax collections by industry classification was down $27,368 or minus 1.44%. These top 10 now represent 71% of the total quarter-to-date sales tax distribution. And the Finance City Clerk's Office invested $2.5 million of maturing or renewing certificates with an incredible weighted average interest rate of 0.51%. The portfolio of certificates at deposit on November 30, 2015 totaled $54.85 million with a weighted average interest rate of 0.32. Total balance of the money market account on November 30 was $1 million with a current yield of 0.2. Total investments are up $1,050,000 when compared to this time last year.
Are those certificates, your investments, are those done on yearly?
Right now I'm getting them priced based on our cash flow needs. For the most part, it's a little more than a year,
Uh-huh.
387 day, 390 day or so. I'm trying to match payrolls, for the most part, payroll and age.
Also, don't you stagger them sometime based on rates? Sorry.
Sometimes, yes, but rates
No,
haven't
it doesn't
done much,
matter.
so.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the financial statement as presented.
I'll second.
A motion by Commissioner Schwaller, seconded by Commissioner Musel for approval of the finance statement.
Kim?
Are we having good luck with those investments? Because my 401k is not doing very well.
It's getting better. We still have a little competition too, which I'm glad to see. If we only had one institution bidding, I'd be a little more concerned, but we at least have two each week, so it has improved over the last few months.
Kim, on page 13, where you're listing all of the various funds, I just noticed, and I don't know if it's always been this way, but I just noticed that it's on 13 and 14, there's no listing for the law CID, but then it is listed later on its individual balance sheet. Do you know why that is?
I believe that it would be in the, and I'll have to go back and look, but I believe that's in the, right now in the,
Because it looked like the 48th and Roth and then the other Home Depot
Right,
CD were
I
listed, but I didn't
believe-
see that one.
I believe that's still in the regular sales tax. We just got started with that this year, but I'll check on that.
And once the
Okay.
year ends, they'll break it out and it'll have its own line item. You
Okay.
have to reconcile it.
Because on its individual sheet on page 45, it had $3,465 on expenditures. Do you know why there'd be any expenditures
That would
under
still be from when we first set up the CID.
So
since
that's
that was all
that's
this
like a
year.
running total, not just for
Right.
that month.
Yeah.
Well,
And we're also still collecting, we have not paid any of those sales tax out. They have not
Okay,
met their.
that was my next question.
They have not met their
Targets.
targets yet.
Okay.
yeah.
Kim, I have a question. We projected on the budget to have a 1.75 increase for the year 2015 on sales tax revenue, and it looks like we're going to be flat or below. So I guess budgeting, if it comes below on what we budgeted, how do we handle that?
Actually, and just to clarify, when we're talking sales tax in the report that I just read, we're comparing, when I talk about sales tax, I'm comparing to actuals. So when I talk about November 15's receipts, that's compared to November 14. Having said that, we actually received our distribution notification today, which is unusual, but because of the holiday, it was a little early. So, and the way the week turned out, so it's a little early. So we're going to actually end up the year up as compared to budget, 277,000, which is about 3.9%. We're going to end the year flat as compared to actual 2014. So budgetarily, and based on the projections we did back when we were doing the budget, we're going to end up actually pretty decent. I actually consider ourselves lucky being flat.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I was just curious, because since I've been on here, that's the first time we've actually been below, so I was just curious how we were going to end on,
Below a lot.
with the increase of, streets,
Yeah.
stuff we're going to do this year. I just wonder how that will affect stuff.
From a
like that.
budgeting standpoint, when you look at general fund, which is what this goes to revenues go to, you carry a 10% unreserved fund balance each year, and then you have quite a bit that's in commission capital reserve that gets put in it. So small variations can be absorbed by that. What we do is if the trend goes downward, the last time this happened would have been 2008, 2009-ish. Actually, 2009 is when the ours started going down. If the trend keeps going downward, now we're going to be worried about how are we going to line up in 2016 versus what we budgeted. And so what we'll start talking about at the staff level is what's budgeted, what's a necessity, what can be held off to see what happens, and we'll start going through that process right there to make sure that we're only doing things that are absolute necessity just in case we continue to trend downward.
I'm glad Commissioner Musel brought that up, because I know that, you've said month to month, there can be great variation because a lot of people report quarterly, but now we have 3 months in a row where we're off compared to last year, so there's definitely a trend being seen here, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's difficult, when you talk about, when we get around to budgeting again, we're talking March, April, May, when we're trying to make guesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're trying to project sales tax off of the current budget ongoing and try to project what happens there. So fluctuation, we're just lucky we can continue to budget that 10%, and we're lucky we can absorb that fluctuation if it happens.
How many years out do you do projections or revenue estimates? Do you do like 5 years out?
Not normally,
No way.
not in this environment.
We used to, but it was really an exercise in futility. It didn't tell us anything because, as Kim said, you'll base your projections off of whatever the trends seem to be. So if it's negative, the basic human assumption is it's going to be negative for a long time, and if it's positive, you're going to budget for a 4% increase every year.
I think in the legislature, they did runs and projections for 5 years out. A lot of that was based on out-year spending, based on cuts that you made in a current fiscal year, because I learned early on that you looked at those almost as an expenditure. That was revenue taken out of the stream, and then as you move forward, that actually increased. So $1 million tax cut this year, next fiscal year might be 1.2 million, 1.3, but fourth and fifth year out, it would grow exponentially. And that's where the current administration in Topeka really missed the boat on seeing what kind of effect the sales tax or the income tax cut was going to have. And so it got to Kansas early, actually, and so that's why the dire straits at this time.
We do look at trends and sustainability. We will pay attention to our overall expenditures, and we'll break it down by category and area, and we look at trends and how we're trying to make sure that we're doing something sustainable. It's just we don't do the pattern 5-year budget type thing that much anymore.
And we'll look at 3 years pretty close, but that's better.
That's good. I mean, looking at it, obviously, forward thinking is the way to go nowadays. Anything else? On the motion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. I believe the motion carries 5-0 on approval of the financial statement. Next item. I know we have some guests here tonight, but they're coming up later. But for now, we're on citizens' comments. If anybody in the audience has some non-agenda items they'd like to discuss, please step forward and state your name. Seeing none, we will move on to we'll move on to the consent agenda where there's some mayoral appointments.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
The motion and second. We do have some North Kansas Community Corrections, and I'm working on a couple more, but this was the only one I had at this time. So we will call for the vote on the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. New unfinished business, we have none. We'll move on to new business. 2016 Ways to Water Wisdom Water Calendar. Will our presenters please step forward and state your name for the record? And the floor is yours, and we look forward to your presentation.
I'm Morgan Lawrence.
Nancy Hanley.
And we're the Waterwise Tigers. Unfortunately, the rest of our team members couldn't be with us tonight.
Do they have a written excuse?
No. Our community partner for this project was Stacy Minton. She's a Kansas watershed specialist in Waukeeny. This project was in cooperation with the City of Hayes, and we thank you graciously much for your support and your sponsorship on this calendar, and also with the Smoky Hill River Canopolis Lake watershed. Our mission on this project was to educate the Ellis County community on their impact towards water quality and quantity. What we did during this project was we had to come up with sponsors for the calendar, and then we had to produce a calendar to send out to all Ellis County community members, which we did, but it was very interesting. But now we're going to go into a little water quality activity that we did with everyone when we presented this for our final. And what we did was the EPA and the City of Hayes had set total daily max loads on total nitrogen, total phosphorus, sediment, and E. coli bacteria. And we did have a bottle of Big Creek water with us to kind of show everyone, but we do not have that with us. And what we said was, basically, if this problem is, if you see this bottle of water and we don't get it fixed and we continue to litter and we don't watch what we're putting in our water, that continues to flow downstream through the creeks to like Russell and many other communities. So that was one of our big concerns that we had when we worked on this project. Now for our water quantity activity. As you see, some of you city commissioners have a bottle of water in front of you. That's a 20-ounce bottle of water. And if you can hold that up for me. All right.
Good brand.
So this is the 20 ounces of water that you have to use in a day. How do you plan on using that water? You have to brush your teeth, go to the bathroom, shower, do dishes. How do you plan on using that water? It's very limited. And so basically what we said was, you know, if you don't watch what you're doing with your water and you're not using it properly, then it is going to continue to become an issue. And for those of you who didn't get water, how do you plan on surviving? So just kind of something we thought about when we were doing that. We also, this is our community sponsors that we got. We had 28 sponsors out of 124 that we contacted. And again, we would like to thank the City of Hayes for being part of that sponsorship. We did raise a total of $8,199 within a month and a half.
That's great.
And as you can see, this is our calendar layout. The top of the calendar was the posters from the winning poster contest, the water conservation contest that the city put on along with Stacy. And on the side of the calendar, we put facts to educate Ellis County residents of the water, of ways that they can save water, and little tips as well. To kind of include this with Fort Hayes, we did booths at the Memorial Union, and we raised water conservation awareness, and we conducted the family water audit for those students, and we gave out prizes to those who participated. And we had several students who were willing to participate. And then we also participated in the Water Fest at Big Creek Crossing. We held a booth and we showed kids, we had a little station set up that said, "What's in your water?" And we showed them all the different things that can be in their water. And while they were doing that, the adults were taking the family water survey.
And then we had the opportunity to present at the 50th Annual Governor Water Conference. There was several water professionals there, which was very nice to engage with them about our project. The survey that Morgan was discussing, we had 2 to 3 professionals that asked to send them a copy of the survey. That's the poster we did. The results are down below. We sent the surveys to the professionals that asked. We felt this was great to be able to extend what we learned past Ellis County to the rest of the state. And then after presenting at Manhattan, the calendars were done, so we went to Northwest Printers and picked them up. We used a local company to have them print. It took 2 to 3 pickup loads to load up 9,000 calendars. In preparation, we did a flyer inside each one of the calendars that we sent out to promote your guys' water poster contest for 2016. So then households and schools will be aware and will be watching for further information on that. And then distributing the calendars. After we had picked them up, stuffed them with the flyers, we hand counted each one of them. Some businesses wanted 1,000, City of Hayes wanted 1,000, and we delivered them. The way we distribute them was through the local sponsorship businesses, local schools and churches, and we extended out to Victoria and Ellis schools as well, and cities. We had many feedback on the calendars. We had some suggestions. There was one professor that enjoyed the calendars but thought maybe the boxes should be a little bit bigger to write inside. The other ones thought they were very cute and professionally done. We had major obstacles throughout the project, which was a good learning curve for all of us. We were going to do a bulk mailing permit and send that out to be able to mail a calendar out to every Ellis County resident. We ran into a little bit of a problem with that due to the sponsorships on the calendar, so then it was a nonprofit organization. So we had to go to Plan B and distribute through the schools and figure out ways to hit the communities the best that we could. We targeted 13,000 calendars. We were able to distribute and produce 9,000, so we were just a little shy of our first target. And then another obstacle was our community partner was absent at the end due to jury duty, but we took that as a compliment from her that she had enough faith in us that we would finish the project. So it was an obstacle, but then yet it showed that she had enough faith in our group to finish the project. Our major accomplishments was that we gathered from the data, the survey from Ellis County residents along with Fort Hays students, and then we were able to present that at the governor's conference and incorporate it in on our poster. We've raised awareness in both Ellis County and the state of Kansas by representing Ellis County at the governor's conference. And then we distributed over 8,000 calendars throughout the Ellis community. And then the other major accomplishment is Morgan and I will be attending a leadership conference in April. Fort Hays is sponsoring us to go to show them the groundworks that we have established to help make awareness of the water quality and quantity of Ellis County.
Excellent work.
Great work.
Excellent.
Are there any questions?
I was going to make a comment and a question. Years ago, when we embarked on water conservation in Hays and implemented a number of water-saving measures, a lot of people would come to the community, students included, and they had come from areas where they had never heard of this, and so it was kind of a foreign thing. I've sensed in the last few years that a lot of students and even folks visiting Hays are from communities that are now dealing with water quality and water quantity issues. What did you think your reactions were when you said you were set up in Union? Did a lot of students stop by, and what was their reaction?
They were surprised, or like the questions and the responses, because it was more like, do you do this, or when you brush your teeth, do you shut the water off? And it was never. But they said they've never thought about that being wasteful water. So it brought awareness of some tips on how to conserve water or what to do. So it was great hearing the responses.
Well, it sounds like you put a lot of work in this. What's your majors?
Business administration.
Business administration.
Okay, well, very good.
And you got an A in this class.
Yes.
Excellent. That's worth it. Good work.
Great work.
Good leadership.
The poster is
Somebody wants to
yours.
state their name for the record and tell us why she's up here.
Yes, Stacy Menson, Kansas State University Watershed Specialist. The poster is the city's, so Stephen and Jason will keep a hold of it. You can put it out here in the hall, or if there's another place. And I also have a copy. The second thing, yes, I was selected to serve on that jury trial in Trigo County. I don't think it was my choice to not be a part of this, but the week later it was my choice to go on a vacation to Cancun. So everything happened at the wrong time for the finish of the product, and I honestly didn't worry because I knew the students were going to make it happen. We had done a lot of work prior to getting everything where we needed to be so that when it came down to crunch time, they could make it happen. And I think some of the students in the other class on the other teams were shocked that their community partner just was okay with them finishing it. I did get to go finish moving calendars, and I have some extras. I know City Hall still has some. Steve and Jason have some. Because of the letter insert into the calendar, we do have teachers already requesting the rules for the poster contest for 2016. Jason and Stephen and I met this afternoon, so we kind of have that figured out. We just have to get it in writing so we can get it sent out to the teachers. The other thing, we need to commend Stephen and Jason for making this happen and giving myself and the students the freedom to make this calendar what they wanted it to be without having a lot of input on the project. We're getting a lot of positive comments. All of the poster winners that are in the calendar did receive 5 copies in the mail. They probably got them today, actually. I did send copies to the Department of Agriculture, the Kansas Water Office, Department of Health and Environment, and EPA Region 7 in Kansas City as well. So the calendar's going out to some major people. My thought process with that is, with the governor's water plan, one of the components is the educational side. So obviously I'm a little biased that our RAPS plan and our RAPS project already has done this with one of our big community partners with the city of Hayes being at the leading edge of one of the easiest educational components that we can do that is visually constantly in front of someone on a daily basis. So
I'd like to get a number of the copies. Several of us are going to go to a water conference, the one that you attended last year. I wouldn't mind taking some of these and showing some people what our university students are engaged in, and obviously the elementary school kids. Great work. Appreciate it.
Good job.
thank you.
For the record, we accept the jury duty.
It's a different county.
Imagine that. One
Yeah,
civic
not very
duty.
many people can come up with that excuse, right?
Getting out of civic duty to perform notice.
Yeah.
You're
And I was still working on water quality when I was in Cancun. It was just a different set of water quality.
the Cancun thing is where we're going to have some. Thanks for
Thanks.
your
Merry Christmas.
and helping out.
Great job, guys.
That was a nice presentation. The moment has arrived when we call upon Dr. Jeff Boyle. Pool operations contractual obligation to the Recreation Commission.
Good evening, Jeff Boyle, Director of Parks. Last week we conducted our annual joint meeting between the City of Hayes and the Hayes Recreation Commission, talked about a lot of different things. One of the items that we did talk about is the pool reimbursement request from the Hayes Recreation Commission. That's being brought back to you tonight for formal approval, if you so choose. This is basically, we have a contract with the Hayes Recreation Commission to operate our pools. And at the end of the season, they tally up their financials and submit that to the city, requesting a reimbursement for up to 50% of the cost, up to $26,000. They have a stop loss of $26,000. So the Hayes Recreation Commission is asking for a reimbursement of 1/2 of the pool losses for this year, or the city's half would be $15,701.06. And we are asking that you approve that this evening.
I'll move that we approve to proceed with the pool reimbursement request from the Hayes Rec Commission for 1/2 operating loss for an amount of $15,701.06 with funding from the contractual service line item of 2015 general fund pool budget.
I second.
We have a motion and a second on reimbursement of pool contractual obligations. Is there any discussion on that or any questions?
Only thing I would say is, it's never okay for the amount that we lost, but, I felt really good after the conversation with, Roger Bixman and his group that they're going to try some other avenues for maybe signage or advertising, and it would never cover this, but even if we could get half of that, I think, and on the better years could be a great win for both of us and the taxpayers.
Every little bit helps.
Absolutely.
No further questions? On the motion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Next is the Fort Hays Municipal Golf Course Pro Shop restroom upgrades. Once again, Chair calls on Mr. Boyle.
Thank you. We requested $70,000 in the 2015 budget to upgrade the restroom facilities at the Fort Hays Municipal Golf Course. Currently, they are not ADA compliant, and they're very small. They're almost usable during tournaments. This is a rather old but picture here of the existing pro shop. You can see here the current men's restroom is in this location, and the women's is in this location. It's configured a little bit differently than what's on there, but the size is the same. This is a photo of the men's restroom. It has one urinal and one toilet. It is this is a picture taken from the locker room looking into the men's restroom. It's a very small restroom facility, not ADA accessible, and just simply needs to be upgraded. This is a photo of the women's restroom. Again, there's two, got big thumbs. There's two toilets here, neither one of which are ADA accessible. Our plan is, with the design, is to make them ADA accessible and make them usable for the larger groups that we have. This is a design bid process that we went through. This is a design from commercial builders. The yellow walls are all new walls that would be installed. The configuration in general is completely different, and I'll show you an overlay of that here shortly. But as you can see, the men's restroom facility is opened up, and it allows the ADA stall. This configuration also adds one toilet and adds one additional urinal to the men's restroom. On the ladies' side, again, we still have our locker room area, but much more accessible, provides an ADA accessible toilet. We've actually been able to add a toilet here, so it's a very nice design. And the design build price on that is $62,700. This is the second bid design build proposal we got, and this is from Paul Wurtenberg Construction. Also a very nice drawing, very nice layout. If I can get my fingers off that, we'll be in business. There we go. Excuse me. The restrooms are flip-flopped in this design. The women's is on the left and the men's is on the right. One notable thing about this particular design is it actually has yet one more toilet above the first design, and one more toilet in the women's side as well. So a little bit more facilities there. However, the storage area on this is not going to be usable. It's not large enough for the amount of things that the pro shop manager is required to store out there. Between rental clubs and you know, beer and the various food supplies and toiletries, those sort of things, it's just not quite enough room. Price for this one is not to exceed $70,000. The Golf Course Advisory Board, Pro Shop Manager, and City staff reviewed both proposals, had discussions on both. We are recommending the proposal from Commercial Builders. This shows the overlay of the current restrooms here, to kind of put things into perspective for you. So anyway, this is the proposal from Commercial Builders, and again, kind of a recap. Their price is $62,700, which is below budget, and Paul Wurtenberger Construction is not to exceed $70,000, which is also at or below budget. But we are recommending the design and the proposal from Commercial Builders for $62,700.
Very competitive bids.
I would move that we approve the city manager to enter into a contract with Commercial Builders for $62,700 for the golf course general fund budget restroom remodel for Hayes Municipal Golf Course.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Myers to approve the pro shop restroom upgrades, and seconded by Commissioner Jones. What a nightmare there must have been out there during a tournament with one restroom.
It was not.
I mean, one.
It really wasn't a usable facility during a tournament.
Is there a lot of complaints?
A lot of complaints. A lot of complaints. And the fact that we're not, you know, we don't have full accessibility for all folks is another problem that we've seen come up here lately. So,
just out of curiosity, during the tournament time like that, is it going to be an issue with the only access to those restrooms being through the locker rooms, or is that not a big deal?
It's not really a big deal. Those lockers, very few of those lockers are actually rented. So there's been a reduction in the number of lockers that are in the facility with this design. And generally speaking, those are the members, the regulars that are there. During tournaments, it's a lot of times we're bringing in out-of-town folks and greens fee players. So it really, I don't think it'll be an issue. It's kind of a standard.
It's also, not to interrupt Jeff, not a locker room in the sense that you're going to have people in various stages of undress in there. It's a locker room where people store their clubs and maybe a pair of shoes and a different shirt or something. I keep clubs out there in the locker, and sometimes you might go out after work and just change shirts and put your shoes on and go.
Okay. And that's a good point. That's correct. There's nothing more than shoes and clubs, and
yeah.
Right.
Jeff, could you go back to the Wurtenberger? It's interesting because we're government. What I would do if it was a private sector drawing is I'd move the storage wall out flush with the other wall, and then you'd have adequate storage space, because this is the superior design. And it doesn't matter that it's, what, $8,000, not even $8,000 more. It has much more capacity, and it's something that will last much longer. The other one is good, but it just is a make-do. And I think for that limited amount of money, I would really prefer to use this one. I understand the storage issues, but I think we could overcome them. So I'm going to have to vote against this motion, because I think this is a superior design, and then no one's going to have to come back in 5 or 10 years and say, gosh, we need to add on again. This would be a one and done.
I guess the question I have, why do you think it won't be enough room?
Well, we anticipate a higher volume. We've
Right.
made a lot of improvements to the course.
Right.
I mean, look at it. It is a much superior layout and bathroom to this. This is nice, but it's a make-do for right now. Whereas if we intend to grow this facility and, as smaller golf courses start to struggle, we may see more traffic here. We've invested a lot in it. I think the golf course is going to be more productive. We have good management. That helps. Good courses. So,
Can you flip back and forth between those two? Because
I mean, it's stark.
So, yeah, because it was that office storage up there on the right where it says 106 that you were saying that the pro shop was excited about because it was close to the shop and yada, 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 right?
This is the current pro shop manager's office. The storage area that we have right now is actually right here.
But that's what I mean. Between the two designs, at the work session, you mentioned that one of the reason that you liked the commercial builders over the other was because of where the storage was placed.
Right. It's right next to the pro shop area.
So it's not that one up to the right. It's the storage 105 that you're talking about.
Right. Storage 105 right here. This would be the storage room.
Okay. Now go back to the next one then.
This one's about 55 cubic feet, and the other one's 110. I'm sorry, square feet.
Yeah, but what if Commissioner Swaller is right and you move that wall out, then you have this other storage up here on the top right. How big would that be?
I'm sorry, I must not be following you. You're saying move which wall out?
That south wall, that one right there, move it down to where he's saying move that
I think you're
south.
getting over $70,000 because that's an existing wall that's not changing with the configuration.
Is that why it's back there?
Yeah, that wall. None of this area through here is being touched at all.
Right.
And this is where all the major plumbing, that's why we can't really move these walls. These right here is all of the major plumbing. We got sinks here, this mechanical room, this is hot water heater, all that, so this can't be really moved much. And again, it could for all the money in the world, but
so there's sinks on the opposite side of that wall there.
Right here's our sink, yes. And then we have ice machines with the drains and the water lines, coolers. This is loaded up. This whole area here is loaded up with items.
Okay, then let's say that 5 years down the road you do need more storage. What would be your plan then? What would you foresee you having to do?
I think at that point we're looking at either expanding that building or building a new one, because we can't really take any more out of the club room here.
Right. Okay.
As a matter of fact, in the perfect world, that should be bigger as it is, but
The expansion would go to the north?
probably have to go to the north. Yeah, I can call that north and
Why
east-ish.
don't you just do that now? Why are we doing it
Cost.
piecemeal?
Cost? I mean, yeah, I mean.
How much?
We didn't look into that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
All we were worried about is restrooms.
Bet you would double it.
We've spent a lot of money on the golf course, and this is the improvement that's most needed, and it'll get us by for quite a while. I wouldn't envision anytime soon, meaning the next 10 years or so, we're going to be coming back and wanting to expand it.
Well, given construction costs, both those bids to me seem very, very reasonable.
They are. That's a lot of work.
And And I fully understand why you're, going with that configuration there, but I see.
I don't know if it would help. Commissioner Schwaller, all of the board members and all the staff and the pro shop manager, it was a 100% vote for this one. And it wasn't based on price, it was based on the design and the storage, the way the storage is set up.
Storage, then we could find a storage alternative that probably will carry us further, but I defer to them.
Further comments, questions? I believe we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of the pro shop restroom upgrades, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Next on the agenda is the Fort Hays Municipal Golf Course cart storage shed. This is a replacement of the one that was damaged by fire several months ago. Mr.
Yes,
Boyle.
in September, we had a very unfortunate fire that started out in the cart shed, and the building was a total loss. We did receive insurance funds, less deductible, but this is a picture of the cart shed after the fire. This could have been a lot worse. Our fire department got there quickly and took care of this and saved a lot more damage. So this is what the shed looked like before it got burned up. Matter of fact, the location of the old shed is where these poles are sticking out of the ground here. So that kind of give you an idea what the sheds look like. These are sheds that the city allows private golf cart owners to park their carts in, and then they pay $300 a month for each cart. I'm sorry, $300 a year for each cart annually. So the facility that burned down had 24 carts in it total. There's 6 doors on each side. Received 2 quotes. Commercial Builders, $39,326, and Paul Wertenberger, $52,400. It's kind of an explanation here on how the project, what all the costs are involved. You can see the total project cost. We had to remove the shed, which was $3,800, and then the proposed building that I'm recommending tonight is the replacement shed for $39,326. The funding for this project, we've already received an insurance check for $29,808.20. We're expecting another check for $45,0260, which will leave a deficit of $88,1520, and that is basically because of our $10,000 deductible. So we did get some good prices on it, so we're not paying the full 10, but the $8,815.20 is not budgeted in the golf course budget, and will need to come out of the golf course budget to make this project happen. So again, our recommendation is for the low bid of $39,326 from Commercial Builders.
I make a motion to approve the bid from Commercial Buildings to rebuild the cart storage shed in the amount of $39,326, utilizing $30,510.80 and insurance funds from the Park Improvement Fund and $8,815.20 from the Golf Course General Fund budget.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jones and seconded by Commissioner Meyer.
Yes.
To approve the cart storage shed bid to Commercial Builders. That's a quick question here. I wrote this down on the previous issue. You know, with the special alcohol tax fund that is used for parks, does that in any way include anything with golf courses?
We can. Yes, we absolutely can. We've hit that account a little bit over the years here. It's kind of a sort of kind of like the commission funding. We hold on to it until we really need it bad. The current situation at the golf course with the golf course budget is we've had a lot of savings this year. New ways we're doing business out there that's working. We've saved a lot of money. So
yeah, Jeff wasn't trying to indicate that money wasn't there, just that it wasn't unbudgeted, but we can actually
Right.
absorb this in the budget.
right.
I wrote that down before. I was just wondering about that. 25 years ago, we only had a front 9 when I first got on the commission. And I'll never forget, the proposal was to put a back 9. It was going to be phased in over 5 years. And you talk about a volunteer effort. We had members out there that were in the oil field business, brought out oil field pipe and backhoes and trenchers and you name it. And it was merely a discussion in this chamber. Next thing I know, they're gone to town with, you know, that back nines. What's the condition of the golf course this year?
Excellent, excellent. Considering we don't, you know, we haven't had adequate rainfall. I mean, it's better than some years, but all of our irrigated turf is in excellent condition. Greens are beautiful. Everything's just going really well.
I've driven by there in recent weeks on very cold, blustery days and couldn't believe the number of people I see out there playing golf. It's a year-round sport, isn't it?
It really is, especially in Hays, Kansas.
Yeah. We have the pro shop manager, Mr. Guffey. Does he have any role with the course itself other than collecting the green fees and so forth?
Not really. Obviously, there's some communication there every day on a daily basis between Kevin Camphouse, who's our superintendent, and Rich. Just general discussions about here's where we're at today, and this is what you need to kind of watch out for. Just general discussions on what to expect for the day. So they meet almost daily to talk about that. But as far as the course itself, the overall management of the turf and things, Kevin usually just runs the show on that.
Yeah. Tell him he's doing a great job.
I'll pass that on. Thank you.
Just drive by, and kind of as they say, a windshield survey. It sure looks great, and it sure looks like it's getting used.
A lot of compliments. A lot of compliments.
I don't know if this question's for you or Kim, but does a golf course make us money, or does it lose money,
Cost
or
us
like
money.
break even? It costs money?
It costs us money.
Yeah, it's very similar to the pool. There's not very many pools in the state of Kansas, and there's not very many golf courses in the state of Kansas that'll break even.
Well,
Yeah.
I have no issue with spending the money on a golf course. I just think it's funny how when we do the cost share with HRC that people kind of cringe at $15,000, and then we're looking at the golf course. I'm sure it costs a lot more money than what, and there's more expenses than just the cost share at the pool too. But
Sure.
both of them's good fun, or
Any,
good way to spend money. But
any quality of life expenditures cost you money. Every park we have costs us money. Everything we have like that costs us money. The reason why sometimes golf courses and pools get picked on is because they charge revenue, and so some have an expectation that they should break even though they are quality of life amenities.
I can assure you that we're narrowing that gap.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
Done an excellent
So-
job. Jeff, you've done a good job. Staff's done a good job, and your advisory board is very, very good.
Yep.
It was not, and it was not a function of the people. It was just they had a golf course with 18 holes that didn't work. There were a lot of problems, but with diligent investment from the commission and great staff and great advisory board members, we've turned this thing around. And when people think about moving to Hays, this is one of the things. Do they have an airport? Do they have a municipal golf course? Do they have an aquatic park?
Right.
Do they have an arts? It's not just a job. What else can I do in Hays? This is it.
yeah, I have no issue with the spending the money there. I thought it was strange how we cringed over the splitting of the money with the swimming pool.
Yeah, I
Did
agree.
you mention when this would start?
These would start basically immediately as soon as materials arrived. 5.5 weeks on the cart storage shed, and just over 7 weeks on the remodel.
Thank you for taking them slides out.
You're welcome.
Badgering going on here. Okay. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
very much,
Appreciate it.
Mr. Wall. Next on the agenda is the 2015 boundary resolution. Chair recognizes Mr. Kim Rupp.
Good evening, Kim Rupp, Director of Finance. Kansas statutes require cities to pass a resolution redefining the entire boundary of the city whenever property is annexed into the city limits during a calendar year. A certified copy of the resolution is filed with the county clerk, the Register of Deeds, and the state transportation engineer. Following ordinances annexed property into the city limits since the last boundary resolution was passed on December 23rd, 2014. This map, the blue lines will show you the boundary as drawn up by city IT staff, and then the red indicates the 3 properties that have been annexed in over the year. So a little closer view here. Ordinance number 3892 passed on December 23rd, 2014. This was the one that was done right after this time last year, so it wasn't put on the boundary resolution last year, so it was right after this. Anyway, this one was passed on December 23rd, annexing General Hayes Road and 48th. So that's this property right up here. A little closer in view, we've got Holiday Inn Express and Sunflower Bank. This is North Vine, 48th. So the area here in green is the General Hayes Road and 48th property on this one. And then Ordinance 3901 passed on August 27th, 2015, annexing 2225 West 41st Street. On this particular property, this is 41st Street. This is the Golden Bell Estates edition. Even though the map doesn't show it, this is Kingsgate. So this is the property that you annexed due to an issue with their water well. They needed city services, and they had a pre-annexation agreement that set that up. So, Ordinance 3912 passed on November 24, 2015, annexing 1517 Commerce Parkway. So this is Commerce Parkway and 13th. This is horizontal well. The area in green is then the property that was annexed in. City Attorney John Byrd has prepared a new resolution redefining the city limits, and therefore we are asking for approval of Resolution 2015-025 redefining the boundaries of the City of Hayes.
I move that we approve resolution number 2015-25, which redefines the boundaries of corporate limits of the city of Hayes, Kansas.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Musel and a reluctant second by Commissioner Meyer. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Can you go back to your very first one? One more, I think. Down on the bottom corner there.
To the right?
Yeah, on the right. Now is that's not, no,
This?
in further, sorry. Yeah, is that still in the county right there, or is that it, city?
That would be county.
That's all county, okay.
Both sides.
What area is that?
That'd be south of 13th, Arnold property.
Oh, Arnold.
Arnold and
Okay.
George Phillip property.
Okay, all right.
Okay, sorry, that's all I had, I'm curious.
Then what was the, what did you refer to that property as on that last annexation you were talking about? Just to the, what would be, I guess, the south of that green box. What's it
Horizontal
called?
well.
Horizontal.
The business called Horizontal Well.
Oh.
Nice new red
buildings Oh, yes.
We just
There
did
it is.
that.
Oh,
The
yeah.
full name is Horizontal
Red
Well
roof building.
Testing.
Red roof building.
Well tested.
Okay. All right, is there any further discussion or questions of Mr. Rip on the boundary annexation?
No, sir.
All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Rip. We will move on to the report of the city manager.
I don't have anything to report, but the assistant city manager is going to report progress.
Oh, finally.
His first official progress report.
Much anticipated. Chair recognizes the assistant city manager for his very first progress report.
So he actually gets paid now because he's actually doing his job, right?
Well, we'll have to wait till he gets back.
Wait till I finish here.
Do not badger the conferees.
Mayor and Commissioners, I'm Jacob Wood, Assistant City Manager, and this will be my first test.
This is a historical moment.
In December, firefighter Woods conducted Calling the Mayday training. Firefighters working inside burning buildings are subject to entrapment by falling through weakened floors, becoming entangled in debris, being caught by collapse or becoming lost or disoriented in zero visibility. In this training, firefighters in zero visibility environments are led into controlled entrapment situations and prompted to call the Mayday with the appropriate information to facilitate their rescue. Calling the Mayday training helps firefighters overcome a reluctance to call for help. All firefighters certified through the University of Kansas Fire and Rescue Training Institute in hazardous materials emergency response. To maintain this capability, training is conducted on a quarterly basis. This month, firefighter Dryling conducted training in dealing with hazardous material leaks, emergency decontamination of persons injured by hazardous materials, and the use of radiation detectors. Several planning sessions, reviews, and walkthroughs have taken place over the last few months in preparation for the police department's return to the remodeled law enforcement center. The building is being prepared to meet IT needs and ensure the least amount of downtime and complications. This is being accomplished via combined efforts from city and county IT departments and staff members from each affected agency. On December 2nd, the Utilities Department fixed a water leak at the 41st Street pump vault that feeds everything north of Interstate 70. Staff worked through the night in order to ensure a minimal impact on water customers located in the affected area. The fire department was prepared to use pumper trucks to maintain water levels in the North Water Tower if the repairs had taken longer than anticipated. Quality Structures, Inc. recently constructed 2 shelters at the Hayes Dog Park. Park staff provided the labor to pour concrete floors under each shelter as well as sidewalks to access. The Friends of the Hayes Dog Park purchased all materials and supplies for the project. In a joint effort between the City of Hayes and the Hayes Baseball Association, work to improve the function and design of Larks Park concession stand and surrounding concession area has commenced. Improvements will consist of larger patio area, the addition of 2 small storage buildings, and a newly remodeled concession stand. Pine wilt disease has moved into our region in recent years and typically affects Austrian, Mugo, and Scots pines. Typically, this disease will kill the infected tree, and at this point, there is no reliable treatment. In November, the park staff collected samples from 3 suspicious trees within the city. 2 of those trees tested positive. Homeowners may be reimbursed up to $150 for removal of trees that have been confirmed to have pine wilt disease through the city's tree rebate program. Infected trees need to be removed by May 1st to aid in preventing the spread of this disease. The Public Works Solid Waste Division has purchased some new containers that have been placed at the recycling facility for after-hours use. These new containers are made with quick disconnect couplings so they can be emptied with a skid steer loader instead of by hand, reducing required labor. The Public Works Service Division replaced curb and gutters at several locations throughout the community. A total of 18 square yards of new concrete was placed. They also placed a new parking area outside the recycling facility. On December 5th, the Hayes Police Department helped sponsor the first annual Cops for Kids event at the Hayes Rec. Approximately 30 children attended the event. Children were invited to look at the patrol vehicles, check out police equipment, and ask questions. This event concluded with the cops and kids eating pizza together. Cops for Kids is a partnership between the Hayes Police Department, Ellis County Sheriff's Department, and the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Ellis County. On December 4th, Sergeant Dan Kerner retired from the Hayes Police Department. Sergeant Kerner began his career with the police department on August 31st, 1992, and was promoted to sergeant. On December 31st of 2006, he served with the police department for 23 years. On December 31st, School Resource Officer Tim Dryling will retire from the Hayes Police Department. SRO Dryling began his career with the police department on October 3rd, 1988, and he served for 27 years. Pending your questions, that concludes.
Explain that last slide. What's that all about?
Christmas Story, have you not seen it? Fragile, must be Italian.
Thank you for that review.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commission comments. Commissioner Jones.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Commissioner Schwaller.
Mine's lengthy. Someone I respect very much told me that just because you think you're the smartest person in the room, it doesn't mean you're the wisest person in the room. Benjamin Franklin, who I think was probably one of the wisest and smartest men in American history, said, "Never ruin an apology with an excuse. With those two things said, I want to give myself a gift at this time of worship. Worshiping someone in whose name there are many things attributed that can be summed up as follows. Love thy neighbor, and do unto others that which you would have done to yourself. My Christmas gift, though, is not just for me. It's for our constituents, the people of Hays, Kansas, who entrusted us with the duty and the privilege of doing the right thing for the common good. In addition, I hope my fellow commissioners and the staff and employees of the city will accept what I'm about to say as a gift during this time of giving. I have said and done things during our meetings of this body that were rude and hurtful to my fellow commissioners. I've hurt Commissioner Phelps, Usel, Meyer, and Jones. To repeat what I've said while making this apology would only add salt to the wound. You each know to what I refer. So Eber, Sean, James, and Lance, for all those wrongs, I apologize. I was wrong in doing and saying the things that I said and did, and to you all, I say I'm sorry. I have no excuse. I ask you forgive me, and I ask that if you will, please do not let my behavior affect the causes that I support, or the people whose issues I advocate and share with you. Now, without action, this apology is worthless. I pledge that I will devote the rest of my time of service on this commission to earning your belief that I am sincere through my act and actions. And as you all know, humor is a tool I often use in our discussion. I promised I will do my best to use it sparingly, and when I do so in a friendly way from now on. With that in mind, please enjoy with me one last thought in these 3 days before Christmas. An apology is a good way to have the last word. So Merry Christmas, and may God bless all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Apology accepted and duly noted. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will make a comment. You mentioned Benjamin Franklin. When I first got in the legislature, there was a senior member told me one time, always quote Benjamin Franklin and no one will ever question it, no matter what you say. Not that I'm questioning what you say, but every time I hear Benjamin Franklin, I think of that. So Benjamin Franklin once said, Commissioner Meyer, what's on your mind tonight?
I don't know. I think that it takes a big person to do what Henry just did. Honestly, I don't even know if I would do it. I think I would probably go and try and do it privately in person. To do it the way that Commissioner Schwaller did it, I think shows his character.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I just wanted to say Merry Christmas. The only thing I was planning on saying is Merry Christmas. I know that it's a big deal to everybody. It's my favorite time of the year and my favorite holiday. And I know that this year, my family, we've tried to make a concerted effort to, not that there's anything wrong with buying a bunch of stuff and eating a lot of candy and doing things with elves that I don't quite understand. But I don't know, I keep seeing all these pictures of elves and to be honest, I don't get it. But, you know, Christmas is, for me, and I think a lot of people, and in its origins is about the birth of a Savior and what He has come to earth to do for us and what He did do for us. So we tried, hopefully our family will continue to in the next 3 days concentrate on that. And I'll just say Merry Christmas and leave you with that.
Thank you.
I also would tell Commissioner Schwaller I absolutely accept your apology. You know, I've had the luxury of serving up here with some people I absolutely respect and have learned from. And, you know, you two here that have been on here a long time, I've learned a lot. May disagree on some things, but I think that's okay. But I absolutely respect, you know, how you did that, and I appreciate it very much. And, I mean, it just takes a big man to do that, and I really appreciate that very much. And, you know, I also want to tell everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and I got a son out there that survived his first commission meeting, and he can tell you all about that if you want. But I applaud him for actually staying through this. So that's what we got.
No, thank you. I want to make a quick comment on, I was at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting last night, and I'm going to once again do a little historical thing, go back. When I first got on the commission back in the 25 years ago, one of the things that happened to me at my very first meeting, there was a lot of discussion about R1 and C1 and so forth. There was this whole different language on zoning. And so I decided to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings to kind of learn a little bit about that. And it just happened to coincide with the Planning Commission embarking on the new comprehensive plan. So as I mentioned, they do that every 25 years. So subsequently back then, I sat in on those meetings, and they had regular meetings and they had special meetings. So it was well over a year that they put that together. And the reason I bring that up is last night's meeting, there was a lot of comments made about this comprehensive plan, and it was almost like somebody, some people I think indicated that it was just put together, you know, haphazardly, and also that it was city staff that did that. And what I want to point out is a couple things. One is our most recent comprehensive plan took 18 months, and there was plenty of time for public opinion during that period. And way back when, I think it took well over 12 months as well. And the plan is put together basically with help from consultants, but also by a volunteer citizens board, some of which live in the city of Hays and some live in the 3-mile zone. I think right now our Planning Zoning Commission is made up of 4-3 count. So I just wanted to kind of, I guess, point out that city staff takes the you know, the comprehensive plan and probably make some recommendations on it and all that, but ultimately it's then presented to the City Commission to adopt as a policy moving forward as we continue to grow or develop or change you know, zoning situations within the City of Hays. And sometimes I think that kind of gets lost in translation a little bit, but you know, there's plenty of sets of eyes look at that comprehensive plan, and it's not set in stone. It can be tweaked, can be amended, whatever the case may be, but it is a good working document, and I think it's something that moving forward we follow. And I appreciate in your progress report mentioning police officers Dan Kerner and Tim Dreiling, 2 outstanding members of our police department for many years. I hate to see people like that leave, but obviously they have put in the years and the time, and God knows how many times they spend a holiday, you know, out on the streets and away from their families. So I can't say enough. I want to wish them well in their retirement, and obviously I hope they stay involved in the community and don't just fade away. And speaking of the police department, front page news tonight, Chief Scheibler participating in the bell ringing. And I would point out that that reminded me when I saw that. One thing I will say about our police and fire department and city employees, very active in the community, very visible, and I think that's just does all the more to be, you know, ambassadors for, you know, city government, and I appreciate the work they do, as well as my fellow commissioners. Thank you for your apology. Merry Christmas, everybody. Drive safely if you're leaving town. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.